I've got the slots marked here, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to just cut inside the slots and see if they are in line. They look fairly well in line, but they may not be exactly in line, so I'm going to cut just inside. Bearing in mind that I've got marked 5mm slots and I need 6 because I've used Depron and not foam board. But that'll give me some idea where I am. Okay, we're fairly well in line, I think. So now I can open up the slots. Could have been a bit nearer, but we've got a slot in there, and there's a slot in the former down there, so that we can keep it fairly well in line. There, so that's going to keep the angle fairly consistent both sides. Probably. Let's see where it's crushing there. From that, it seems to be okay. Again, I forgot to open that up. That's because we're using 6mm Depron. It's the former. I put the other former on the plans. I've actually done the cutout for this wider. It needs, because I've got a double former down there. In fact, I've moved the EDF back, so this will be in a slightly different place. But now I've made the former wider. In fact, I might as well just cut that bit off there. It's not really doing it at all. All I did that for the slots was so that I could get it, have something down there. It's not necessarily for strength so much as to help line up the tail fins. Now that could, if you really wanted, have a carbon fibre spar in there, but to my way of thinking it feels fairly solid. I'm going to go with it for the time being. Okay, we'll do the slots at the other side, and once again it's fairly well in line. But if this piece on top is not exactly in line, of course these slots won't be exactly in line with the slots in the former. And what I'm doing, I'm just cutting inside the lines, and as I say, I've already marked it 5mm anyway, so I'm cutting about 4mm out, and I'm using Depron, which is 6mm, so I've got a couple of mil to play with, and I can see the former down there is about there. So it needs cutting up rather than down. And the sound with that one. Once again, I'll just take that bit off the bat. No, not really necessary. And once again, that should hold them at the correct angle, because it's sitting the two lugs I've left there sit into the former in there, so it's keeping it nicely in line. And I'm sure once we do the glue across that, it'll be fine. Okay. So a couple of bits of scrap to wipe off the excess. I could have glued it down. Could have put some glue down into the slots, but probably not really necessary with a bead of glue across the top of each one of these. Yeah. Yes, I'm sure once they're glued in, once the glue dries, I think we'll be good to go with them. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just bit more probably get in. That's better. We're just going to put a couple of bits of tape across there. For the time being, in case I need to get to the EDF. This is just a temporary measure until I've made it, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do with this. That's not Winston. That's my next door neighbour's dog. And it can be a bit of a pain at times. Okay, I think that will hold for the time being, and I'll put that on when I've tested the CG, see where, if it's necessary to move that ESC at all. I'm going to use just a piece of carbon fibre. You can use a bit of gel or anything really to rest on the CG. I would like to get it to balance with a 2200 battery. I do have 22s and 2800s. Oh, nice. That's just nice. With a hatch on there. This is just falling forward. I can possibly move the battery right to the back of that front compartment. There. With the hatch on. It's just falling on its nose. Okay. Possibly just a little nose heavy at that, but only just. If I move the battery back 1/4 of an inch, it falls on its tail. With the hatch on, just down onto its nose, and then the hatch only weighs whatever. Okay, so I think we're fairly close. Just to be on the safe side, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the... See, well, I've got to be a little careful now because I've got the tail fins on. Before I had the tail, that's why I left the tail fins till last to put on, because I knew I'd be turning it upside down. In fact, what I might do now is put it on my... so I don't damage anything. We'll sit around there, I think. And what I might do, I think, to be on the safe side, I'll move the ESC back. I've got plenty of room. I've got plenty of room to manoeuvre the battery forward, and I can go to a bigger battery should I want to. So I think I'll move the ESC further back. Just behind the centre of gravity, or just on the centre of gravity even, like that. So now the ESC is sitting just behind the centre of gravity. See how it balances now. I've moved it back about probably an inch or so. This is a 2200 4. It's a 30C4. I'm not even sure if I've got that centre of gravity exactly right. That's my starting point. But I think I might move that ESC if I can, although my extension is getting awful short. I can't go a lot further back. I'm struggling. Unless I make another slightly longer extension for that. Look, I think I might live with that for the time being and see how we go. Better it be a fraction nose heavy than a fraction tail heavy. So I think I'll go with that for the time being. I can keep this battery right to the back of the front compartment. There, the battery's going to sit right there. It could actually, I don't like being a bit short on the battery lead, that's the problem I've got. But anyway, let's okay, I've cut out that former, and now I want to bead of glue across that. Okay, now I'll stick some Velcro in the front here for the battery to sit on. It sticks very well to dip around as this Velcro. I'm going to stick a couple of pieces there so I can go forward if I want with that. The battery itself will sit there like so. Should be okay, and hopefully we're balanced somewhere near, that's the balance point there in the centre of the antenna come hand grip, so we're balancing fairly well. I think that's going to be nice for hand launching. That fits on there, so we're ready to go. I think we're ready for the maiden. I'll just pop this back on again with a little bit of tape for the time being until I maiden it. Then I'll decide what I'm going to do with it. Piece across there, so when it comes in on its belly it's not going to tend to catch that and rip it off. Okay. And she's now ready for the maiden. I'll just trim out the off camera. I'll just trim out the elevators and ailerons a bit, just drop the movement of these a little bit because I think they're a little bit too much, and back for the maiden.